Hey there. You ever wonder what it takes for a broken soul to trust again? This is the story of a street cat who learned that sometimes the scariest thing in the world is hope. Meet Shadow. I found him on a rainy October evening, huddled beneath a rusted dumpster behind the old grocery store on Maple Street. His fur was matted, his eyes hollow. But it wasn't the dirt or the scars that caught my attention. It was the way he looked at me, like he'd already decided I was dangerous. Have you ever seen fear that deep? Shadow wasn't just cautious, he was terrified. Every footstep sent him scrambling, every voice made him flatten against the ground. He'd lived his entire life believing that humans were the enemy, and honestly, I couldn't blame him. The first time I left food for him, he waited until I was completely out of sight. I'm talking like around the corner, down the block, gone. Only then would he emerge from his hiding spot, sniff the bowl for a solid 2 minutes, and eat like it might vanish at any second. This went on for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of me showing up every single day, rain or shine, leaving food, and walking away. No eye contact, no sudden moves, just food and space and time. But here's the thing about broken trust. It doesn't heal on your schedule. By week 4, something shifted. I placed the food down as usual, but this time I sat on the curb about 15 feet away. Shadow watched me from behind a fence post. His eyes were locked on mine, calculating, measuring. I didn't move, didn't speak, just existed. And then he did something incredible. He ate while I was still there. It sounds small, right? But for Shadow, that was monumental. That was him saying, maybe you're not the worst thing that could happen to me. If you've ever rehabilitated a scared animal, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. Over the next month, we built a routine. Every evening at 6 p.m., I'd arrive with food. Shadow would emerge from wherever he'd been sleeping, under cars, in drainage pipes, behind trash cans, and we'd share space. He'd eat, I'd sit. Sometimes I'd talk to him softly, telling him about my day, about nothing, really. I don't think he cared about my work drama, but my voice became familiar, safe. Then came the breakthrough. Week 8, November wind was cutting through the alley, and Shadow was shivering. I'd brought him a heated pad, the kind made for outdoor cats, and placed it inside a weatherproof shelter I'd set up. He sniffed it suspiciously. I sat down closer than usual, maybe 10 feet away this time, and Shadow walked toward me. Not to the food, to me. My heart nearly exploded. He stopped about 3 feet away, sat down, and just stared. His tail wrapped around his paws, his ears were forward, not back, and for the first time, I saw something other than fear in his eyes. Curiosity. "Hey, buddy," I whispered. "You doing okay?" He blinked slowly. If you know cats, you know that's their way of saying, "I trust you." It's called a cat kiss, and it's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever see from a feral cat. I blinked back. We sat there for 20 minutes, just being. No touch, no pressure, just two beings sharing space without fear. But the real magic happened 3 days later. I was sitting in my usual spot when Shadow approached, closer than ever. He was within arm's reach now. I extended my hand slowly, palm down, fingers relaxed, and held it there. An offering, not a demand. Shadow stretched his neck forward, his whiskers twitched, and then, so gently I almost didn't feel it, he touched his nose to my fingertip. You ever have a moment where time just stops? Where everything you've worked for, every ounce of patience you've invested suddenly makes sense? That was it. That single touch was worth every cold evening, every ignored greeting, every moment I wondered if this would ever work. From that day forward, everything changed. Shadow started letting me pet him. Just a stroke or two at first, head only, nothing scary. But within a week, he was leaning into my hand, purring, actually purring. Do you know what a feral cat's purr sounds like when they've never purred for a human before? It's rusty, uncertain, like they're not quite sure they're doing it right. But it's the most genuine sound you'll ever hear. By December, Shadow was ready for the next step. I knew he couldn't survive another winter outside. The temperatures were dropping below freezing, and despite the shelter, I worried constantly. So I made a decision. I was bringing him home. The day I trapped him, and yes, I had to use a humane trap, he wasn't quite ready for a carrier yet, I felt terrible. I watched him panic in that cage, yowling and thrashing, and I almost let him go. But then I remembered those hollow eyes from October, the shivering, the fear. Sometimes love means making the hard choice. At the vet, Shadow was diagnosed with an upper respiratory infection, ear mites, and he was severely underweight. The vet estimated he was around 3 years old, but looks 7. Street life ages them fast, she said. But here's what broke my heart. The vet also said he's FIV positive, feline immunodeficiency virus. He'll need to be kept separate from other cats, and he'll require special care. It means he needs someone who won't give up. I brought Shadow to my guest room, set up specifically for him. Food, water, litter box, soft bed, toys, everything a cat could want. And you know what he did? He hid under the bed for 4 days. I'd sit on the floor and talk to him, read books aloud, just be present. On day 5, I woke up to find him sitting in the windowsill watching birds. Progress. By week 2, he was a different cat. Shadow would greet me at the door. He'd weave between my legs, purring that rusty, beautiful purr. He'd climb into my lap while I worked and knead my thighs with his paws, a sign of ultimate trust and contentment. The terrified street cat was gone. In his place was someone who wanted to love and be loved. I reached out to rescue organizations, and that's when I found Jessica. She specializes in special needs cats. When she met Shadow, something clicked. He walked right up to her, this woman he'd never met, and rubbed against her legs. She said, this one's coming home with me. Shadow now lives with Jessica in a quiet apartment downtown. She sends me updates every week. Photos of him sprawled in sunbeams, videos of him playing with feather toys, messages about how he sleeps on her pillow every night, purring in her ear. He's not Shadow anymore. She renamed him Chance, because that's what he got. That's what he deserved. If this story touched your heart, imagine how many more animals out there need someone like you to notice them. So here's my question. How many shadows are waiting right now beneath dumpsters and behind fences, convinced that trust is impossible? How many are one patient person away from becoming someone's chance? What would you do if you found one?